What if I told you that one car, designed by one of the world's most powerful companies, was so fundamentally flawed that it became a global symbol of business failure? This is the story of the Ford Edsel. Launched in 1957, it was supposed to be the future of the Ford Motor Company, a triumph of post-war engineering and marketing. Instead, it quickly became one of corporate history's most dramatic disasters. This failure wasn't just about a bad car. It was a perfect storm of corporate overconfidence, flawed market research, and confusing design that cost Ford an estimated $250 million, a staggering sum for the late 1950s. Today, we dive deep into the Edsel tragedy to uncover the lasting business lessons it offers about branding and predicting consumer demand. Watch until the end, because the real reasons behind this colossal flop are still relevant to every business today. To understand the Edsel, we must first look at the prosperous America of the 1950s. The economy was booming, and the middle class was growing rapidly. As families gained wealth, they wanted vehicles that reflected their new status and allowed them to trade up. They sought differentiation, a car that said, "I've arrived, but perhaps not I'm a millionaire." Ford observed their main competitor, General Motors GM, which had mastered market segmentation. GM had a perfect ladder of brands: Chevrolet for the entry-level, Pontiac and Oldsmobile for the mid-range, Buick for the upper mid-class, and Cadillac at the top. Ford, however, had a noticeable gap. They had the affordable Ford line and then jumped dramatically to the premium Mercury and luxurious Lincoln models. They believed this missing piece, the middle market, was preventing them from capturing upwardly mobile consumers who wanted something better than a Ford, but couldn't yet afford a Mercury. This gap was the strategic reason the Edsel division was created. Ford had commissioned extensive internal research that strongly suggested a need for a distinctive mid-range car. This research, however, was fundamentally flawed. Ford was looking backward, basing their strategy on the immediate post-war demand trends. But here's the thing. By the time the Edsel was ready to launch in late 1957, the market was already changing dramatically. A recession hit hard, and consumers became more conservative with their spending. Consumers were suddenly more focused on economy and efficiency. They were turning towards smaller, more practical cars, like the compact Rambler, or even genuine luxury imports from Europe. The niche that Ford wanted the Edsel to fill was either disappearing, or consumers were satisfied with upgrading within the successful existing Mercury line. Ford's timing and strategic approach were completely wrong. They spent millions developing a large, expensive car just as the public started asking for smaller, cheaper alternatives. If you're finding this analysis of corporate strategy mistakes valuable, please take a second to hit the like button. It helps our archive reach more keen observers of business history like you. Now, let's talk about branding. A car's name is its identity, but the Edsel suffered one of the worst naming processes ever recorded. Ford wanted something unique and hired consultants, including the famous poet Marianne Moore, to help. They generated over 6,000 potential names, many of which were creative and evocative, such as Utopian Turtletop or Mongoose. Ultimately, Ford's management completely ignored the expert advice. Driven by internal politics and the desire to honor the Ford family, they chose Edsel, the name of Henry Ford's deceased son. The name sounded awkward, old-fashioned, and lacked the dynamic appeal necessary for a modern brand-new car. It simply confused the target audience. A strong brand should signal purpose and innovation, but Edsel signaled corporate bureaucracy and a lack of imagination right from the start. If the name was confusing, the design was actively repellent to many consumers. Ford knew they needed the car to be instantly recognizable. This desire for uniqueness resulted in its most infamous feature, the vertical centered grille, which critics quickly dubbed the horse collar or toilet seat. The unique shape was supposed to be stylish, but it was widely ridiculed by the public and auto reviewers. Furthermore, while the front end was distinct, the rest of the Edsel shared too many basic body panels and internal components with cheaper Ford models. It failed to justify its premium price tag. Consumers felt they were paying top dollar for a dressed-up Ford with a strange face, not a genuinely unique or premium vehicle like a Buick. This lack of true differentiation undermined the entire value proposition Ford was trying to sell. It was a classic example of design driven by ego rather than objective consumer preference. Despite the questionable design and name, Ford doubled down on the marketing. They initiated one of the largest pre-release campaigns in automotive history. Dealers were pressured, and the public was flooded with enthusiastic advertisements promising a revolutionary car before anyone had seen it. This immense hype created unrealistic expectations. The campaign strongly implied that the Edsel would be a technological and stylistic leap forward, a car that would truly redefine American driving. Wait until you hear how Ford completely failed to deliver on these spectacular promises. When the car was finally unveiled on what Ford called E-Day, the public felt seriously let down. It wasn't the spaceship the marketing suggested. It was an odd-looking car that shared parts with existing models. The gap between the marketing hype and the physical product was massive, and the disappointment instantly soured potential buyers. Unfortunately, the problems were not just cosmetic. When the Edsel hit showrooms on September 4th, 1957, the debut was marred by severe, immediate quality control problems. Dealers often struggled to assemble the cars correctly. Early owners reported that trunks wouldn't open, paint was flawed, and many critical components, including power steering and transmission, failed quickly. This suggested Ford had rushed the car to market without sufficient testing. This critical lack of reliability was fatal. Consumers who were paying a premium price for a supposedly premium product suddenly found themselves driving unreliable machines requiring constant repairs. This immediately shattered consumer trust in the Edsel brand and, more broadly, hurt Ford's reputation for quality. For a car meant to symbolize an upgrade, this catastrophic performance was unforgivable. If you are enjoying this deep dive into corporate failure, consider subscribing to Legacy Archives for more stories of industrial giants. The combination of poor styling, high price, and severe reliability issues created a triple threat that doomed the car. Ford had ambitious targets, hoping to sell 200,000 units in the first year alone. The reality was catastrophic. They sold less than 64,000 units. The following year, sales declined even further, forcing Ford to slash prices desperately, which only confused customers more about the car's true place in the market. As sales stagnated, it became clear that Ford had misjudged the core direction of the American buyer. The consumer taste profile had shifted permanently toward efficiency and functional design, driven by the success of compacts like the Rambler and the increasing presence of European models. The Edsel was simply too large, too expensive, and too strangely styled for a market that suddenly demanded caution and practicality. But how much did this spectacular mistake actually cost Ford Motor Company? The financial toll was immense. The final reliable estimate of the Edsel project's total corporate loss is a staggering $250 million. This included the massive costs associated with developing unique tooling for production, the aggressive advertising expenditure, and the financial losses absorbed by the network of dealers. To put that figure into perspective, $250 million in 1959 is equivalent to several billion dollars today. This staggering figure instantly cemented the Edsel's place in business history as one of the most expensive product failures of its era. This corporate failure wasn't just a loss on the balance sheet, it severely damaged the confidence of investors and embarrassed the entire Ford organization on a global scale. Ford management spent 3 difficult years attempting to rescue the Edsel brand. They tried repositioning the car, simplifying the design, and cutting the price. But the damage had been done, and the name itself had become toxic. Consumers simply wouldn't buy it. Eventually, the writing was on the wall. On November 19, 1959, Ford officially announced the termination of the entire Edsel division, signaling the end of the project. The Edsel's failure led to intense internal corporate fallout. Key executives who had championed the project faced professional consequences, and management structures were reshuffled. It was a severe reminder, even for an industrial titan like Ford, that corporate power does not guarantee success. The very last Edsel rolled off the assembly line shortly after the announcement, concluding one of the shortest and most expensive runs in automotive history. While the Edsel failed spectacularly as a car, it succeeded as a learning tool. The Edsel quickly became a mandatory case study in business schools worldwide, teaching future executives crucial lessons about product development. The first major takeaway is the danger of relying on outdated or biased market research. Ford was confident in data that was already obsolete. Second, the failure taught the critical necessity of appealing and coherent branding. When experts offer strong advice, management must listen. Ignoring it in favor of internal politics, as Ford did with the name Edsel, is a sure path to consumer rejection. Finally, the Edsel emphasized the importance of objective design. Design decisions should be based on what consumers want and what the product needs to communicate, not on management ego or a misguided pursuit of unique features. The Edsel remains a powerful symbol of corporate hubris. It reminds us that even the largest, most financially secure corporations can make fundamental strategic mistakes that cost massive fortunes and result in a devastating legacy. The key lesson is the importance of truly listening to the consumer, understanding market evolution, and exercising necessary caution in all business strategy and innovation. We examine these deep dives here at Legacy Archives to understand how industrial giants are built and how they can fall. If you enjoyed this analysis of the Edsel disaster, please subscribe to Legacy Archives for more exclusive stories on corporate history and financial titans. Like this video to support the channel, and let me know in the comments below. What product flop in history do you think was even worse than the Edsel? Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next deep dive.